Good evening and welcome everyone to the 13th annual ABC House Celebrate Hope fundraiser and awareness event. While we miss seeing everyone in person, we are honored that you are joining us from the comfort of your home and hope that you are enjoying your celebration kits from Sybaris Bistro. I would like to give a huge shout out to Sybaris Bistro for providing tonight's food and drink. I'm Stephanie Martinenko-Ray, Board President. Tonight's event is a celebration of everything you have made possible over the last 25 years. It's thanks to you, our wonderful supporters, that we are able to continue to provide specialized services for children in crisis in our community. Thank you for making brighter futures possible for the children who enter our doors each day. We could not do this without your support. Your donation tonight will make a difference in the life of a child suffering from abuse or neglect by ensuring they have the specialized care and support they need to recover and heal. Right now, your support is more important than ever. Your donation tonight will help increasing numbers of children receive comprehensive abuse assessment and support services by ABC House child abuse experts and professionals. Your giving will give the child the best chance to heal, recover, and thrive. There is no better investment. And I'm excited to announce that your gift will be doubled thanks to generous donors who have provided $25,000 in matching funds. To make a donation, go to abchouse.org/donate. A direct link can be found below in the video's description or in the comment section. Thank you so much for your donation. We will be updating our total amount raised throughout the evening in the comment section. Please join me in recognizing our generous sponsors. Their support makes hope and healing possible for children in crisis in Benton and Linn counties. Starting with our presenting sponsor, Town Country Realty. Thank you so much for your generous sponsorship and years of wonderful support. Here is a quick message from our presenting sponsor.
Hello, I'm Lisa Marie Boyd.
And I'm Catherine Fisher. We are the co-owners and principal brokers of Town Country Realty.
First, thank you to the ABC House staff and volunteers for everything you have done this year, given especially the challenges of the pandemic.
We all, and children most of all, deserve to be safe in our home and our community.
Join us in supporting the ABC House.
Please give generously.
Next, I'd like to thank our premier sponsors, Darlene and Dave Chambers, friend of ABC House, and Eads Broadcasting. Thank you for your deep commitment to helping vulnerable children in our community. Next are the generous major sponsors, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Ralph and Linda Scariano, Norm and Sandy Yeager, Entech, Dr. Carol Shervanack and Dr. Bill Barish, and Bicoastal Media. Thank you for making brighter futures possible. We also want to acknowledge a number of generous supporting level sponsors for their generous support. And thank you to the numerous event sponsors for their support. Thank you again to all the sponsors who support children impacted by abuse or neglect. I am so pleased to join you tonight in support of ABC House, especially during this month of April, which is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. It's incredibly powerful to be at an event with so many caring and compassionate supporters. Before we officially begin, I'd like to let you know that this evening's program is filled with emotional and impactful stories surrounding child abuse and maybe triggering to some. Before we get our program started, we know some of you may be new to ABC House and unfamiliar with the essential abuse assessment and support services we provide to children in Linn and Benton counties. So we have prepared a video that shares this information and more. Join us for an informational tour of ABC House.
ABC House is a nonprofit children's advocacy center working with children, youth, and their families to overcome the trauma of abuse and neglect in Benton and Linn counties. Since 1997, we have provided child abuse assessment and support services to ensure children impacted by abuse receive the services needed to heal and live a productive life. We envision a world in which every child has the opportunity to be happy, healthy, and safe. Parents and caregivers understand the impact of their actions on children, and our community actively and vocally stands up to child abuse and neglect. ABC House provides child abuse assessment and support services for children referred with concerns of abuse or neglect and their families. Each assessment appointment has 3 parts: a medical exam, forensic interview, and family support and referrals. Medical exams are conducted by medical providers who are child abuse experts. Our medical providers remain supportive, objective, and neutral throughout the child's head-to-toe exam. Children have the opportunity to ask questions about how the abuse may have affected their bodies and development, and to receive reassurance from our trained staff. Child-friendly forensic interviews are legally justifiable, fact-finding interviews with a child conducted by professionals trained in talking with children. They obtain accurate and objective information without leading, interrogating, or traumatizing them. Our family support advocates help families cope with the discovery of abuse and navigate through a time when their lives have turned upside down. They help families understand the child abuse assessment and investigation processes, as well as connect them to additional much-needed services to create a nurturing home environment. Children work with counselors specializing in trauma treatment to help them process what has happened to them and to heal emotionally. Children learn strategies to help them manage out-of-control feelings and behaviors related to traumatic events, and to empower them to focus on their own strengths and abilities. We believe that prevention education is the key to ending child abuse. ABC House offers numerous training courses in both English and Spanish to the public and provides private trainings for groups, organizations, and businesses, all at no charge. Families never pay out of pocket and are never turned away due to their inability to pay for vital assessment and support services. It is through community support and generous donors that abused and neglected children have the chance to heal, grow, and thrive. To sign up for a training, make a donation, or learn more, please go to our website, abchouse.org.
Over the last 25 years, ABC House has served over 12,000 children. From the very beginning, it has been thanks to supporters like you that children and their families receive vital services when they need them most. Here's a look back at ABC House over the last 25 years.
It is incredibly humbling to see what so many children have to endure as they're growing up, that they feel safe enough to be able to share their experiences with us when they come, and that we're able to help out somehow. It's just incredibly humbling. ABC House is a children's advocacy center dedicated to providing child abuse assessment and support services for children referred with concerns of abuse or neglect and their families. In 1991, the Oregon State Legislature mandated the creation of a multidisciplinary team approach to the investigation and treatment of child abuse in each county. The Linn County Multidisciplinary Team designated the development of a child assessment center as its first priority. In 1995, the Linn County Child Victim Assessment Center, officially known as ABC House, applied for and was granted nonprofit status in the state of Oregon. ABC House opened a temporary site in May 1997 in the Women's Center of Lebanon Community Hospital. We were open 1 day a week on Wednesday and only provided medical exams and forensic interviews. At the time, bringing together professionals from multiple disciplines in one location to help children impacted by abuse or neglect was considered a cutting-edge approach. Additionally, the Children's Advocacy Center provided a safe and calming space, alleviating the need to take a child to a hectic emergency room or busy police department for help. 2 years later, in 1999, ABC House moved to the Albany location off 29th Avenue and immediately began outgrowing the building. With the goal of serving more children, the board voted to move forward with a capital campaign in 2015 and the subsequent purchase of a 2-story, 35-year-old former bank building near the courthouse in downtown Albany. The silent phase of the Building Hope Together capital campaign kicked off in 2016 to begin raising the $5.1 million needed to renovate ABC House's new home. The new location at 228 Southwest 5th Avenue provides more than double the space of the former building on 29th Avenue and enables ABC House to serve significantly more children with abuse assessment and support services and trauma counseling. Thanks to many generous donors and supporters, ABC House opened the doors to the new building with a ribbon-cutting celebration in February of 2019. Moving into this building 3 years ago has helped tremendously us be able to provide services much more timely. Now we have 2 exam rooms, 2 interview rooms, and 3 providers. So if we have scheduled patients, and if we learn that some child needs our help right away, then we're able to get them in right away. Over the last 25 years, ABC House has grown from 3 employees to 22 employees. Over that same time frame, we have greatly increased our capacity to serve, starting from serving 56 children in a year to nearly 800 in 2021. This is only possible with generous community support from foundations, local partnering agencies, and donors like you. We've been very fortunate to work with and receive support from people who truly care about the safety, health, and futures of our children. ABC House's mission is even more relevant today, serving increasing numbers of children in need and their families. With combined efforts from our multidisciplinary teams, staff, board of directors, and volunteers, ABC House is diligent in the fight against child abuse and offers comprehensive and child-focused services. Our approach fosters innovation and strong collaboration with partnering agencies and other child welfare organizations throughout our service area. Thanks to the support of a caring community, each day we are one step closer to realizing our vision of a world in which every child has the opportunity to be happy, healthy, and safe. Parents and caregivers understand the impact of their actions on children, and our community actively and vocally stands up to child abuse and neglect. These are incredibly difficult things to talk about for children and families, and that a child can trust me and tell me these things and they allow me to try and help them, it just is an incredible honor. Really, the bottom line is that children are the fabric of our community, and if we don't nurture and cherish our children, our community just doesn't have a hope. This is not about us and them, because all of these children are ours. All of these children truly are the fabric of our community. And for us to have a healthy community, we have to start with healthy children.
If you haven't made your donation yet, now's a good time. Go to abchouse.org/donate to make your donation right now. As of this moment, with your help, we've raised $14,025. As many of you know, the ABC House team is led by Executive Director Aston Godwin. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. With so much going on in the world, I'm especially grateful for you to continue to show up for children in our community. Our theme tonight is 25 Years of Hope. I had to Google 25 or the silver anniversary. There are a couple of words that really stood out to me: strength and durability. Those words describe many things when it comes to ABC House: the children and the families we serve, the staff and the board, our community partners, and you, our community of supporters. Because of your support, each child has the specialized services and help they need during the hardest, most challenging time of their young lives. Our work would not be possible without your partnership. 25 years ago, ABC House was founded by law enforcement, child protective services, medical and mental health professionals, attorneys, and youth advocates. These individuals came together because they believed a change was needed. Children needed a more effective, more collaborative, efficient, and more child-friendly response to allegations of child abuse and neglect. ABC House was created to serve children from throughout Linn and Benton counties, to provide child abuse assessments for children referred with concerns of abuse or neglect, and offer other support and healing to children and families who have suffered from abuse. Since 1997, we have served more than 12,000 children and their families. As many of you know, the demand for ABC House's services continue to be high. Along with our community partners, we are working hard to ensure we serve as many children as possible, as quickly as possible. Our focus is always to do what's best for the children we serve. Last year, we served 771 children, a 25-year high. This year, the demand is showing no signs of slowing down. Effects from the pandemic are still impacting families. Compounded with stressful economic challenges, the perfect storm for child abuse is still very much a factor, with conditions that increase rates of physical abuse and neglect. Your support is now more important than ever. Since my arrival at ABC House, with support from our board, I've looked for ways to ensure the sustainability of ABC House services so that despite a pandemic or natural disaster, children will continue to receive the vital services without interruption. The first initiative I'm pleased to announce is the kickoff of the Legacy of Hope program for donors who are interested in including ABC House in their estate and long-term giving plans. We plan to offer estate planning seminar soon, so be on the lookout. Please contact our development team if you would like more information. During this time of great need for ABC House's services, the need for abuse prevention is just as great. I want to encourage everyone to attend a child abuse prevention training. At ABC House, we believe child abuse is completely preventable if enough people know how to recognize, respond to, and prevent it. We need more adults to participate in trainings. Child abuse thrives when good people look away. Child abuse happens mostly at home and common community spaces, mostly at the hands of trusted adults in children's lives. If more of us know what to look for, we will help more children get the safety, help, and support they need. Community prevention trainings share the facts about child abuse, where child abuse usually happens, who usually perpetrates it, and the challenges kids and families face as a result. If you've already taken a training, consider taking another one. Many topics are available on our website. If you suspect a child is being abused, Make a report. Call the state hotline, 855-503-7233. That's SAFE. The number is also listed on our website. You may be that child's only hope. I want to end by thanking you for your loyal support over the last 25 years. While we have a lot of accomplishments to be proud of, there's a lot more work to be done. With your continuing partnership, I look forward to reaching greater levels of success together over the next 25 years. And now, it's my honor to introduce tonight's keynote speaker. Matt King is an English teacher at Corvallis High School and father of a teenage son who carries trauma. Matt also does advocacy work in the school district for children who have experienced trauma in early childhood and serves as a consultant for families. He's also authored a number of articles for publication and is the author of the Trauma Informed Teacher blog. You can find his writing at matthewmking.com. Please join me in welcoming Matt King.
Thank you, Aston. I'm honored to speak with you tonight. I want to extend my thanks to the staff of the ABC House and their board, not only for their work in planning this event, but for their dedication to children and families in our community. I'd like to thank Glenda Lonston, their development director, for formally inviting me here tonight and generously giving me a tour of the ABC House, and for all her help in shepherding these remarks to their final form. Also, a thank you to Steve George and Kathy Law, two tireless advocates for children. Steve sits on the board of the ABC House and has much to do with me being here tonight. Lastly, I'd like to thank my dear friend and colleague, Amanda Fioy, for lending her considerable linguistic talents to help edit these remarks. In the 2004 film Millions, a woman representing a fictional humanitarian organization stands before a group of British school children. Who feels sorry for poor children, she asks, and immediately several dozen hands shoot skyward. Correct answer, she confirms. If I asked a similar question, who feels compassion for children affected by abuse or neglect, many hands here would shoot skyward. A Google image search for child abuse will fill your screen with images of young children. Almost all are white and all are cute. They possess the traits, large head, chubby cheeks, small nose and mouth, high forehead, that ethologist Conrad Lorenz identified as cross-species traits that elicit caregiving behaviors from adults. A dark-haired Gerber baby stares into the camera with a piercing glare. The photo has been doctored. Colors fade towards sepia, but the eyes are an unnatural bright blue. The ad reads, #StopChildAbuse. These images don't begin to touch on the reality of trauma. If we expect trauma victims to present themselves to us under the guise of cuteness, we will, as we often do, miss even its most obvious symptoms. When I became full-time parent to my child, he was 11 and in foster care, I learned quickly I'd need to educate myself on the impacts of abuse and neglect. I came across the Adverse Childhood Experience Study, known by the acronym ACE. The ACE quiz consists of 10 yes or no questions designed to elicit a snapshot of a person's childhood trauma history. In preparing tonight, I spoke with pediatrician and child abuse expert Jan Chosen-Bays, who helped found CARES, which serves over 3,000 children per year in the Portland area. She told me the ACE study is the single most important piece of research of the 20th century. The study found that a single yes answer increases the likelihood of the following outcomes: severe obesity, smoking, substance use disorder, missed work, diabetes, depression, suicide attempts, STIs, heart disease, stroke, cancer, COPD, broken bones, and early death. 2 yes answers further increase the risk. 4 or more yeses make up the highest risk category. My son, whom I'll call Jay, answers yes to 9 questions. The ACE quiz doesn't even cover his prenatal exposure to methamphetamines. He was abandoned by his birth father, lost his stepfather to prison, hit with belts, paddles, fists, face shoved into urine-soaked pajamas, watched his stepdad drag his mother across the room by her hair, watched her thrown against walls, watched his mother point a loaded gun into the face of his stepfather. He often woke in the middle of the night to find nobody home. He fed himself by slicing a potato, spraying it with Pam, and sliding it into the oven, or biking to convenience stores and sneaking styrofoam cups filled with sugar and flavored creamer. And then he turned 8 years old. If you want to find images more closely corresponding to Jay, you need to do an image search for troubled teen. Almost every troubled teen image features a boy, almost all with a hood up, eyes downcast, sitting on floors or slumped against walls. If I'd begun tonight by asking who feels compassion for teenagers who wear hoods, the response might have been more confused. We don't recognize that troubled teens and abuse survivors are largely drawn from the same population. We imagine their needs and their humanity quite differently. I've heard middle-class, educated, professional people say that troubled teens only do what they want to do, that they need discipline, that they need to be shown who's boss, that they run as a pack, that they're feral. I've heard their homes described as cesspools. In the United States, we've erected what journalist Rachel Aviv calls a shadow penal system for these children. We believe the destructive myth that what they need is severe punishment, tough love. Our communal imagination is not expansive enough to envision the reality of abuse and neglect. It's time to rewrite the myth with honesty. I can add images from my life with Jay that illustrate the complicated narrative. Each day before he leaves for school, he takes our 10.5-pound Chihuahua in his arms. He cuddles her, nuzzles her nose, kisses her head. He always tells me I love you before he leaves the house or car or hangs up the phone, even when I hear his friends mocking in the background, I love you, Daddy Matt. At almost 17, he refuses to watch the film Ratatouille because the cartoon rat protagonist is shunned by his biological family. For a twice abandoned child who lives apart from his own biological family, it's simply too painful. At 14, he entered the house in tears, carrying a dead crow. He'd accidentally clipped the bird with his bike tire. We held a memorial service in our backyard. He once dove into our shrubs to rescue a squirrel whose hind legs had been mauled by our cat. He cradled the squirrel in his t-shirt while we drove to the Chintimony Wildlife Center. Here he is curled in a ball, sobbing uncontrollably with grief from his recently dead grandmother. Here he smiles brightly when he visits his 8-year-old brother, who calls out to him, "Brother, let's wrestle." Here, a senior citizen where Jay works tells me, "You've raised such a wonderful young man." Jay was filled with wonder during our first weeks together. I remember the morning I felt our attachment fully form. We woke one morning, our second weekend together, to make pancakes. He drowned his in a waterfall of syrup. When we finished, we cuddled under blankets while I read to him from our book, The BFG. It was a feeling as unique and unmistakable as seeing your child for the first time. When we finished reading, we wrestled in the living room. His eyes glowed. I felt his need to be simultaneously challenged and protected, to test his own strength while resting secure that I had everything under control. When the honeymoon period ended, the rage-filled tantrums began. People who know Jay's endearing side can't imagine how frighteningly intense his outbursts can be. Children who lack the brain development that comes from healthy attachment are prone to becoming lost in a sea of rage and sadness when they become upset. Jay has smashed a cell phone with a baseball bat, bashed a door with a cast iron skillet. He's put holes in walls, shattered glass picture frames, and ceramic bobbleheads. He's lit a stuffed animal on fire in the backyard. He's made a pretense of running away from home, backpack filled with food from the pantry as I've followed on my bicycle. He's directed dozens of profanity-laced tirades squarely at me as I've stood calmly, absorbing each insult. This is also a reality of trauma. This, too, deserves compassion. And all these images are interwoven with stints in residential treatment for substance use disorder, multiple suspensions from school, and a record number of behavioral referrals. We must hold all this together when picturing the results of abuse and neglect. We must have a collective understanding, comprehensive enough to create a just narrative. Recently, the world lost two great advocates for collective healing. On December 26, 2021, Archbishop Desmond Tutu died. His ethics and theology centered around the Zulu concept Ubuntu, often translated into English as I am because you are, or I am because we are. Soon after, Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese monk and founder of Engaged Buddhism, died as well. His concept of interbeing, or interdependent co-arising, was foundational for his social activism. In his book, Being Peace, he writes, "In one sheet of paper, we see everything else. The cloud, the forest, the logger. I am, therefore you are. You are, therefore I am. We inter-are." When the Olympic gold medalists thank their coach, family, friends, and country, it's easy to say, you are because we are. When our valedictorians stand on the commencement stage and thank their parents, teachers, counselors, mentors, it's easy to see our image in theirs, and theirs in ours. It's harder to see our image in the third grader who throws chairs across the classroom, who becomes the middle schooler who falls into drug use and truancy, who doesn't finish high school, who finds the juvenile justice system, then prison, then a lifetime of unemployment or underemployment, homelessness, broken relationships, who perpetuates the cycle of abuse. It's very hard to look at those lives and accept that they are because we are. Our image is in them also. We like to imagine those situations, we like to imagine in those situations that they are because of individual choices they have made and nothing else, and that our collective choices don't impact them. But if we can reasonably predict the outcomes I just listed based on the prevalence of adverse childhood experiences, then it does not follow that they are solely the product of individual choice. As a community, we pursue certain policies and avoid others, and this creates the conditions in which trauma arises. We wait until an individual's behavior is injurious to the community, and then we slowly and systematically force them to the margin. We suspend them from school and expel them. We send them to treatment, detention, jail, prison. We make it difficult or impossible to work, drive, secure housing, to eat, to care for their children. We've made it darn near impossible to find mental health care. We continue to choose isolation, and the cycle of trauma continues. Abuse and neglect happen because of choices both collective and individual. We have chosen not to wage war on abuse and neglect. We choose not to support safety and stability for all children, affordable housing, food security, childcare, early childhood education, a robust and easily navigable mental health system. We don't connect enough abused children with clinical assessment and early intervention. There are few safe spaces for children who carry the ponderous burden of abuse or neglect. ABC House is one of those places. A large aquarium filled with exotic fish greets children at the entrance. On the floor sits a photo of the friendly-faced, droopy-eared resident therapy dog, Xander. The ocean serves as decorative theme. Calm blues and beiges color the walls. Down the main hallway, a series of textured, fish-themed ceramic tiles hang at kid level. Children are encouraged to touch. Sensory processing issues go hand in hand with abuse. Living in unpredictable and unsafe conditions produces hypervigilance. Children's brains learn to always be on high alert, assessing all stimuli for a hint of danger. The brain learns a confirmation bias with regard to danger assessment. The neural pathways that support hypervigilance become strengthened because neurons that fire together wire together. The central nervous system lives at the edge of fight or flight, an impossible state in which to operate a balanced, regulated life. Environments that are stimulating while calming, that allow children to use touch to self-regulate, that provide opportunities for co-regulation with animals, that are predictable and welcoming, are essential to the healthy functioning of children healing from abuse or neglect. Such environments are rare. At ABC House, no child is coerced into the interview room. No child is cajoled into the exam room. Most children, feeling safe, willingly participate. Abuse is such a profound violation of autonomy. Its underlying message that you do not get a say in what happens to your body, that it complicates one's sense of agency forever. I think about the number of behavioral incidents I see in school that begin when authority figures tell children what they must do with their bodies. Come here now, sit there, go to the office. Now you can't use the bathroom, take off your hood. And I recognize how poorly we in the adult world understand this. When I spoke with Dr. Jan Chosen-Bays, she impressed upon me how critical it is to have a coordinated approach in responding to child abuse. Before entities like the ABC House, kids, she said, were essentially being re-victimized by the system. It's imperative we bring the professionals to the child, not the child to the professionals. It's essential for children not to be dragged around and interviewed multiple times, because for the child to talk about what happened brings up more shame and guilt. Kids, she said, blame themselves for the abuse. Perpetrators reinforce that self-blame. So it's critical that children don't have to tell it once to a police officer, and again to a DHS worker, and again to a therapist, and again to a lawyer. They tell the story once to a highly qualified interviewer, someone who is trained in disrupting the self-blame that has been reinforced, somebody vested with both medical expertise and a position of authority in the community who can deliver gently and firmly the message, this is not your fault. It is not okay that this happened to you. As Dr. Bays said, the interview becomes the beginning of therapy. On my tour of the facility, Glenda showed me a room with a two-way mirror where parent-child interaction therapy occurs. The parent receives one-on-one coaching through a Bluetooth earpiece while they play with their child. Supporting children absolutely means supporting the family system in which they are embedded. In 2021, ABC House conducted 405 family support sessions to help non-offending family members understand the assessment process and connect with resources at a time when their lives have turned upside down. Parenting is difficult. Parenting a child who carries severe trauma is bewildering and isolating. You live in a reality which most people simply cannot understand. I have spent hours on the phone arranging mental health assessments. I've been the go-between for therapists and CADCs, or clinical alcohol and drug counselors, between CADCs and pediatricians, between pediatricians and behavioral health specialists, between behavioral health specialists and school psychologists, between school psychologists and school administrators, between school administrators and classroom teachers, between classroom teachers and instructional aides. It is exhausting. And this does not even begin to cover the day-to-day obligations of a parent. At the ABC House, families are surrounded by the community resources they need in one place. People tell me my son is lucky to have me. I don't see it that way. Each child should be able to take for granted that their family and their entire community will meet their basic needs. No child should have to wait until age 8 or 11. I wonder how his life trajectory might have shifted had he been referred to the ABC House at age 3 or 5 or 7. How much potential healthy brain development was lost? What does that mean in terms of how he would think, act, and even perceive his surroundings differently today? Jay is now almost 17. His life is becoming more and more his own. My deepest hope for him is that he finds in his adult life meaningful work and healthy love, that he will take his place in a community that sees him not primarily as an abuse victim or a troubled teen, but as an individual person who possesses a life that is in the words of writer George Estreich, radically, democratically valuable. That he will be held safely within that community and grow into an adult who holds others safely as well, especially the most vulnerable. The ACE study is predictive of some ghastly life outcomes, but it doesn't predict what will be, only what will likely be in the absence of the right support. The right support starts with clinically precise diagnoses that lead to effective early intervention. Children need professionals to help them answer the question, "What happened to you?" the loudly proclaimed title of the new book on trauma by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. In a more ideal world, we would wage war on childhood trauma by coming together on social policy and practices. We would do an adequate job of valuing the life of each child, honoring the dignity of every human being. In a slightly less ideal world, places like the ABC House would receive as many public funds as they require to meet the needs of their communities, needs that are immense right now in Linn and Benton counties. In 2021, the ABC House served 771 children. They trained 2,620 community members on child abuse recognition and reporting. They conducted 242 forensic interviews. But according to the National Survey of Children's Health for 2016, 24.1% of Oregon children answer yes to 2 or more questions on the ACE quiz, 1 in 4. And this was before the pandemic, before the economic instability it brought, before it sent substance abuse rates soaring, before it sent domestic violence rates soaring. Imagine what the numbers must be now. Our world is far from ideal. The ABC House provides hope within that world. And to continue providing the hope it has for 25 years, it needs our support. You will give those who have little voice a chance to tell their own story, not just about who they are, but about who we are. Please go to abchouse.org/donate right now, or pull out your checkbook to make your generous gift. If you are already a monthly donor, there is nothing you need to do tonight unless you'd like to increase your gift. If that's the case, please go to the donation link and enter your new monthly gift amount. I hope you accept my personal, deepest thanks for giving tonight. I can tell you it means everything for the hundreds of children and families who enter the doors of ABC House each year. And now, as you complete your online donation, please join me in welcoming the West Albany High School Choir, led by Kate Caffarella, with a special virtual performance of Ease My Mind, coordinated by choir student Lena Harrington. Then, Stephanie will be back to finish out the evening. Thank you again.
There's a worry that I
Being a child shouldn't hurt. By standing with a child in crisis, you are letting them know that no matter what, they are not alone and that many people in our community care about them. So thank you for standing with the children that we serve. Their lives are better because of you. It's incredibly powerful to be at an event with so many caring and compassionate supporters. I know that we all envision a world in which every child has the opportunity to be happy, healthy, and safe. Parents and caregivers understand the impact of their actions on children, and our community actively and vocally stands up to child abuse and neglect. Someday, I hope we see this world. So far, we have raised $121,575 in donations and sponsorships. It is not too late to make your donation if you haven't yet. Please go to abchouse.org/donate. On behalf of the entire ABC House Board of Directors, staff, and volunteers, thank you again for your wonderful support and celebrating 25 years of hope with us. Together, we will one day break the cycle of child abuse and neglect in Linn and Benton counties.